Hello guys, Jack here from Peach Guitars, and you join me in the midst of our lockdown. So a little update for everyone. It's Friday and everything's still shut. Unfortunately, we're still in full lockdown mode in the UK, so the store here is shut, but there's a few of us still operating inside the store to fulfill online orders and take your calls and answer emails and stuff like that. And I'm also here, basically, as I said on Tuesday when we did a live video before, just to try and keep our online momentum going and to provide some cool content for you. I imagine there's loads of people trawling through the internet at the moment looking for stuff to watch, and that's why we're still here doing some videos for you. So what I wanted to do today is open the floor up basically and offer some invitation to you guys to give us some ideas of what you want to see for the rest of the day. So the idea is we're going to do a little live video now. I wanted to talk about a certain theme. I'm going to talk about some Suhr guitars in a minute, which ties in with some of the promotional deals that you may have seen in your email inboxes and on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. But also, I just want to take some of your comments and get some ideas of what you want to see for later on in the day when we'll revisit and do another live video. But like I say, I want to start off with this particular theme because I think this is a pretty good one, a pretty strong one, and I think it's going to appeal to a lot of our customers out there that maybe are still looking to purchase an electric guitar, because of course this is still a good time to do it. Our warehouse is still open and you can still receive orders from us if you order online or over the phone. So with that said, let me talk you through one of the deals that you may have seen as I've talked about. So with Suhr guitars that we stock tons of here, last year John decided to basically put a little bit of a unique spin on what we do with them and to offer a Peach exclusive model in the form of the Classic Pros. So for anyone who doesn't know, Suhr's Classic Pro models are kind of the lifeblood of their company right now. I think there's so many of them out there, so many players are adopting them, and so many players are still looking to purchase them because they make just such great workhorse instruments. I have one myself. It's a fantastic gigging guitar, a fantastic recording guitar, and being a Suhr, it's obviously got all of the kind of mod cons in terms of making them as playable as possible and as versatile as possible. So with that in mind, what John wanted to do was just offer something that's going to be unique to Peach and change up the spec a little bit to suit not only John's own personal taste with these guitars, but also to address some of the common modifications that I think people were making to the existing Classic Pro model. So just for reference, I don't have one of the standard Classic Pro guitars here, but as I said, I've got one so I can kind of talk you through from personal experience how these guitars differ. So these Peach limited editions basically just change up the spec in a couple of significant ways. You've got a roasted maple neck on all these guitars, which, as opposed to the kind of standard tinted maple, as Suhr term it now, for their standard Classic Pro models. You've also got a change on the S guitars of pickups in these. So as opposed to the standard Classic Pro where you've got V70 pickups and an SSV humbucker in the bridge on HSS guitars, this one that I'm playing right now has got ML single coil pickups in the neck and in the middle, and then a Thornbucker Plus in the bridge. So basically the whole thing, in conjunction with the neck, being of a different material, I think the whole thing sounds a little bit beefier. It has a bit more depth to the tone, and I think that's something that a lot of people were looking for out of their Classic Pros. So I've picked out three of the guitars that we've got here that kind of give you a great example of the full range. So I've got an HSS with a rosewood fingerboard. I've also got an SSS, so 3 single coil model with an all roasted maple neck and fingerboard. And then from the T, I've got the Classic Pro T, which the only spec change on that is that there's a roasted maple neck on that too, which I'll come on to talk about in a minute, why I think that's quite a big benefit. So I think the best thing to do is just to show you some more of the tones, because the guitars kind of speak for themselves when you hear them. If you want to hear any more kind of detailed representation of what these guitars sound like, do check out all the listing videos, because we've got tons of them on our YouTube channel and on our website. And if you want to hear a particular guitar in a particular finish, you can do that, and we've recorded it in high quality audio in our studio setup. This is just going to serve as a kind of preliminary overview of these guitars. So I'm going to show you some tones with the HSS, and I'm going to move on to the other guitars as well. For context of everything else that's going on, I'm playing through the usual Dr. Z Maz 38, and for overdrive today I'm using, from our good friends at Origin Effects, the Revival drive. So what you'll have heard there was the valve rectifier side, which is a little bit lower gain, and I've set up the silicon rectifier side for some higher gain. So let me show you all three of the sounds that I've got going on. I've got the clean amp sound, and then the two sounds from the pedal as well. I'm going to show you those and kind of walk you through the full capabilities of this guitar, all the way from clean to high gain. So let me show you the clean sound, and we'll go from there. Alright, there's the clean sound. Now I'm going to show you the valve rectifier channel of the Revival drive, which is set up for sort of a just breaking up Fendery amp kind of tone. That's what I've gone for. So that sounds really great on these guitars. I think that really shows off just how dynamic these pickups are as well. You'll have heard there just at the end, I turned down the volume and you get a nice clean sound. Just going forward though, let me show you the other channel as well, which as I said is set up for higher gain. So this is going to show you, just give you some context of all the tones you're going to hear basically. Alright then, so what you'll tell from that is just how flexible these guitars can be, and you can genuinely use this kind of a guitar to take you all the way from sparkly clean through that nice break-up mid-gain kind of tones that I showed you as well, and then all the way up to high gain. These guitars will do it. Now for anyone who knows Suhr's instruments, if you've ever played a Suhr guitar, you'll know just how comfortable they are to play, and also just how well they stay in tune and keep kind of single coil noise at bay as well, and that's kind of due to a couple of other features that I want to talk about with these guitars. So starting out with the comfort factor, these guitars have Suhr's even C medium neck profile on these. So I actually think the roasted maple, I don't know if it's just a kind of psychological thing, but they feel a little bit heftier in hand. Not massively so, it's still like a medium neck profile, but you really feel like you're grabbing onto a kind of a slightly heftier neck, which I really like, and I think that that lends itself to that slightly deeper and bigger tone that I was talking about. So that's one thing. Obviously it's very, very smooth, it's very well finished as well. These guitars have absolutely no sharp fret edges or anything like that. It's super, super comfortable all the way up the neck. And this differs a little bit from the standard classic models, and I think the classic antiques as well, where Suhr are now adopting this like 60s taper neck. So it's a little bit slimmer down here on the standard model, and then it gets a little fatter as you go up. This is just a nice even profile all the way up, as the name would suggest, even C. I think you've got compound radius on this neck as well, so it's very comfortable to chord with down low, and then it's nice and flat up the top for any kind of big bends or anything you want to apply if you're playing solos. So that's kind of standard stuff for Suhr. Anyone who's played a Suhr will be aware of that, but I think it's always worth pointing out because people still genuinely look for these kind of characteristics in guitars, and it's not always that easy to find. So this guitar has it straight away. The tuning stability that I talked about is courtesy of Goto's 510 tremolo system on this guitar. So it's a two-post, non-locking kind of vintage style tremolo. But what that affords you is just maximum kind of comfort and, as I say, tuning stability. So it'll take you everywhere from, if you want very light, fluttery kind of tremolo use, it'll do that, but you also don't have to be afraid of kind of giving it a little bit of stick, and the tremolo system will basically support you in whatever you want to do. I'm not going to go crazy with it right now, but just as an example. Okay, and that stability is also due in part to the locking tuners that are on all these guitars as well. So it's just a great combination. As I said, I gig one of these guitars a lot, and I just never have to worry about the tuning stability at all. These guitars are strung up with 10 to 46 as well from the factory, so that's kind of the nice even spot. I think it's the nice sweet spot of getting the maximum tone and the nice tuning stability as well, so that everything kind of just works in conjunction with one another to make these guitars just perform exceptionally well. So the other thing I want to talk about as a big feature of these guitars is that they all have Suhr's silent single coil system in them, which basically means that you can use the pickups that they provide are true single coil pickups. These pickups aren't stacked, they're not hum cancelling by themselves, but what you have in the system, and it's the same on the classic T as well, is that there's a dummy coil under the pickguard. And that doubles up, and I don't know how it works exactly, but basically it just means that you can have a single coil sound at high gain levels, and you don't have any of that background noise that you would usually have. Let me demonstrate that best by going to the high gain sound with the revival drive again, and I'll just show you that you can have gobs of gain, and going between the single coils and the humbucker, there's a nice not only tonal balance, but you don't get that noise. That hum that I'm talking about. So let me show you right now. The volume's full up, by the way, and there's no noise. So yeah, they just work really well. So it kind of basically what I love about these guitars is that they get rid of all the fuss that you normally have to think about when you're playing an electric guitar. It's going to stay in tune, it's not going to make unwanted noise, it's going to play very comfortably, and all you have to focus on then is the tone of the instrument. So with that said, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the differences in the pickups and the tone woods and what I think that benefits when you're playing this guitar. So if you're used to single coil pickups, you'll know that sometimes with gain sounds they can be a little bit thin and you kind of lack that lower mid content. With the move to Suhr's ML pickups in these S-style guitars, I think you lose that kind of necessity to have to beef up the tone. So let me show you with the clean sound just how full, like the middle pickup for example, that's often an overlooked pickup on an S-style guitar. But you'll hear I'm going to leave the tone wide open, I'm just going to turn the drive pedal off and just use the core amp tone, and you'll hear just how kind of fat this sounds without having to kind of massage it in any other way. So here's the middle pickup sound clean. So yeah, I went to the neck pickup sound there as well, just to show that it's really balanced between the two. But my point is just how kind of naturally really big these guitars sound. It doesn't sound like it's overinflated. It's very easy to overdo a single coil pickup sound so that it basically doesn't sound like a Strat single coil anymore. But these pickups absolutely do that. And then of course in the HSS model, which I'm playing, it's coupled with a Thornbucker Plus pickup, which same thing again, I'll just demonstrate to you. These pickups have a tendency to have all this fatness and warmth, but they're still really clear. So let me just show you the humbucker quickly on the clean sound, and then I'll move on to some of the other guitars as well. Yeah, so I moved to position 2 as well, just so you can hear how well it marries up in that in-between position 2. So basically it's just a really well-balanced guitar, and I think if you're looking for an S-style guitar, maybe you've been looking for a while and weighing up some different options, I think Suhr is one of the best possible options that you have because of all the different factors I've talked about, the way these things play and obviously the way they sound. It's a little bit of a kind of specific taste that you might want to have if you're looking for this kind of instrument. It doesn't necessarily have quite as much zing and openness as some other guitars, but I think actually for a lot of players in the right context, in a band mix, you're going to lose all that stuff anyway. You want a solid tone to rely on, and I think these guitars have exactly that. So with all that said, I'm going to put this one down. I'm going to show you the 3 single coil model, which as I said also has a different fingerboard material. So this is just roasted maple neck and fingerboard on this guitar. So obviously it's going to be a little bit brighter, as is usually the case when you move from a rosewood fingerboard to a maple board. And of course it's got the bridge pickup. These 3 pickups are all MLs as well in this limited edition Peach spec guitar. So again, you've got that fatness all the way through, but it's nice to have an S-style single coil bridge pickup, I think, at times. And with a gain sound, with all that extra warmth I was talking about, I'm going to show you with the lower gain side of the revival drive. It's just a really nice tone for that kind of mid-gain thing. It doesn't get harsh at all, but you can kind of push the treble frequencies out a little bit, and it's still nice and warm at the same time. So let me show you that. One of my favourite things about these guitars is that tone always puts me in mind of like a Ritchie Blackmore kind of bridge pickup sound, which is something that I don't think that many players go for anymore. But you do see it sometimes. You know, you see players like Nick Johnston now and other guys that are veering towards S-style instruments and using a single coil bridge pickup. This kind of instrument will allow you to do that because you don't have to fear that really thin nasal sound that a lot of Strat-style bridge pickups will give you. Let me give an example of that again with just the mid-gain sound. I'm not going to touch the tone control either, but you'll hear just how big this sounds. So I did switch to the higher gain sound on the pedal there as well, just to show you. Again, it's just such a big fat sound, not one that you might typically associate with S-style guitars, but that's not because it doesn't sound like an S-style guitar, it's because I think people have just overlooked that sound for so long, because maybe it hasn't been as usable as it is now. So it's just a massive advantage to these guitars to have that much kind of warmth on tap, but at the same time, if you want to go to a split coil sound, turn off the gain pedals, it will still give you the sparkly clean, which I'm going to show you now. Okay, so one last word on the S models. I think if you have a Classic Pro at the moment, or if you've played a Classic Pro before, maybe you even, well, maybe you've never played one at all, so this reference is kind of pointless. But if you have, I think you'll notice that there is quite an upgrade in the tone here. And like, for example, I personally have put ML single coil pickups in my guitar, just to try and get a little bit closer to these Peach Limited models, the tone that they've got. Obviously, as I say, it's not for everyone. Some people want a much lower output, slightly scoopier sound, and that is great for some things. But I think this is actually kind of strikes the right balance, because it will afford you the really high gain, really warm tones if you want that. But it will also give you enough clarity and enough sparkle for clean tones. But I just think it's got the right edge to it now with this particular setup, with the roasted maple and this pickup configuration. I think they've really just kind of nailed it here. So the good news, with all that being said, don't worry, I haven't forgotten, I will play the T as well. But these models are now fresh in stock. We've got loads of them again. So we've had a reorder from Suhr, and they've shipped us a bunch of these guitars. So you can still get all the Classic Pro colours that you'll have been aware of. So all your kind of classic 50s and 60s infused colours. You can still get your Fiesta Reds, your Sonic Blues, your Surf Greens, as well as three-tone Sunburst, white and black as well. There might be a couple of others that I've forgotten about, but so basically the colour schemes are exactly the same as the normal models, but you can get now the Peach exclusive with the roasted maple and the different pickup configurations. And I think it's a great choice if you're looking for an all-round electric. I'll tell you what these guitars are great for as well, actually. If for a couple of different players, I think if you are a Fender style player and you're looking for something that's a little bit more usable in a live situation, maybe you've had some tuning issues with your current guitars, maybe you've always had to try and fatten them up with a pedal or something like that, this will solve all those woes, no problem at all. Equally, if you're a Gibson player, or maybe you've been used to set neck, humbucker equipped guitars your whole playing life, and you want to venture into a Fender style instrument or an S style instrument, or a T as well, which I'll come on to in a minute, these are great gateway guitars. And I think that you'll be very happy with the results you get, because it still feels like home. These guitars basically just have a great marriage of Fender and Gibson style qualities. But obviously it's a Suhr, it's got its own thing going on. But I always think they straddle the line much more evenly than some other brands that attempt this kind of thing, where you're trying to create this hybrid technology of using humbucking pickups on a Fender style guitar, or equally, there's other brands that will use single coil pickups on set neck guitars and try and approximate the tones that way. I think these are kind of the best, not only bang for buck, but also the kind of best balance overall tonally and in terms of the way they feel. So that's just my own personal opinion, but I'm a massive fan of these guitars, and I'm really pleased to say that if you go to peachguitars.com right now, you'll be able to get one in pretty much any spec you want, and our orders are still going out, so you will still receive this guitar very, very soon. So that's what I wanted to say about the S's. Let me just quickly play you some of the classic T as well. And I did say earlier on that there's a benefit to this roasted maple neck on this guitar. So the genetic makeup of the T is still pretty much the same as a regular Classic Pro. Still a swamp ash body. It's still got the Classic T pickups in there, and you've still got the silent single coil system as well, which I talked about in the S's. So you've got no background noise, you've got no hum. But having the roasted maple, this is actually a feature that used to be on Suhr's antique range of guitars. So if you bought a Suhr Classic T Antique from a few years ago, it would have had roasted maple. They've decided to stop doing that on their regular production models for the past few years. I don't know why. I'm sure John Suhr knows what he's doing, and he's chosen doing it that way for a reason. They still sound fantastic, but if you want a roasted maple T, this is the only way you're going to get it on a production line guitar, because they don't use that anymore on any of the Classic Pros or the Classic Antiques. So if you want that combination with the roasted maple, I think aesthetically it works really well. I think it looks better than standard maple, and also it's got a few other advantages, as I talked about. A bit more depth to the tone, and also massive stability if you're traveling into different climates. So roasted maple is just a lot more solid. It doesn't warp as regular maple might do. You basically never have to touch the truss rod on these guitars, I've found. They just work fantastically well. So let me show you a few of the tones. I'm going to go clean, and then I'm going to go for the lower gain side of the Revival drive as well. And you'll hear this sounds exactly like what you want a T-style guitar to sound like, but with some added muscle and some added heft. And that's in no short part thanks to the roasted maple neck. So let me show you what it sounds like. Okay, so that's fairly classic T-style territory. I also just want to show you how this guitar responds to a real high gain sound, which again is not something that people often think of with T-style instruments because of that associated thinness and overly treble, loads of treble frequencies usually is the case. But I'm going to show you now you can use this guitar in a high gain scenario and you've got no hiss, you've got no hum. You've just got a nice fat tone as well, but you get that telly characteristic because they are telly pickups, so let me show you that now. There you go. So it kind of covers the full range of clean through the mid gain all the way up to high gain. I'm saying that a lot in this video, but that's because that's what these guitars are designed to do, and they fulfill that promise very, very well. So I'm not going to play anymore, but I will just stay on here for a couple more minutes because I want to see the rest of your comments and questions. If you've got any that you want to send in, now is the time to do it. Let me just zip through and see if anyone's asked any questions that I can address, because like I said, we're going to do another live video later on, and I want to get some of your ideas for what you want to see. So people have asked for some Fender Custom Shops, Grandpa Bob. We might do that. We might get some Fender Custom Shop activity going on this afternoon. We do feature this stuff a lot, and what I wanted to do with these videos is kind of break away from some of the stuff that you will have seen a lot of from us. So for example, we've seen a lot of Gibson content lately, a fair bit of Fender Custom Shop. So if you want some references for the guitars that we've got, we have filmed all the listing videos for all those guitars. We've filmed a lot of unboxings where we've talked at length about the specs of those guitars, and also some various features and stuff that you may not have seen. So go back and check our YouTube channel and you'll see tons and tons of Gibson and Fender Custom Shop content. That said, we might still pull out a few of my personal favourite guitars that are here or something like that. So that's Fender Custom Shop. Let's see, we've had a request for some Nags stuff as well, the Steve Stevens 7. That is a phenomenal guitar, and I would quite like to have another blast on that. So let's see what kind of the theme proves to be for this afternoon. Depends, if we're going in a high gain mode, then that guitar will definitely feature. Someone asked about fitting a 4-way selector switch. I don't know, to be honest, if you need it, because I'm guessing what you would want there is for the 2 pickups in series as opposed to in parallel in the middle position, so like a Fender S1 style switch. These guitars sound so big anyway, that series mode would kind of be redundant, I think, and as to how it plays in with the silent single coil mode, I don't know that it would affect it because it's just a dummy coil. That is a question for our technician Tom, who is not here today, but that's a good question. I don't know personally if it merits that kind of modification to the guitar, unless you're talking about a different 4-way switch operation, but that's what most people do with a T-style. Just my kind of my opinion there. I don't think it's something you'd need to do, but if you wanted to do it, I'm sure it is possible, and it'll still interplay nicely with the silent single coil system. So yeah, keep the questions coming, guys. If I sign off by the time that you want to put your question in, don't fear, because the live chat will still be active. You can keep adding to the live chat, and then basically later on in the afternoon when we come back to this, I'll address as many of the questions and the requests as I possibly can. Also feel free in the meantime to check out our Instagram profile as well, at Peach Guitars, because we post a ton of stuff on there. There's loads of guitars that go up daily, so basically, you may have missed some of the new stuff we've had in. Instagram is a great place to check out all that new stuff, and there might be something that you see that you really just want to hear in action, so do let me know if there's anything you see. Equally, on our website, peachguitars.com, there's loads of content that goes up there daily as well, shows you all the new arrivals. We are still filming listing videos for everything that we get, so chances are you will be able to hear whatever guitar you want to hear just by going to our website and checking out the listing videos that we film. You've got full high resolution images and high resolution audio as well. These live videos are basically just a little bit of an overview that I can offer up if there's anything that you wanted to see in a specific kind of context. So yeah, that's about it for now, I think. When are we going live again? We're going to grab a spot of lunch, and I think we're probably going to hit this live again, probably around 3:30, 4 o'clock, something like that this afternoon. So basically, just keep posted. We'll give you enough notice if you want to check out the video when we go live again. But I would say, yeah, probably looking at about 3:30 this afternoon. I don't know what that equates to in American time. I'm sure maths heads can do that. But yeah, about 3:30, so basically about an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. So anyway, I just want to say, by signing off on this video, thank you for continuing to watch what we're doing here. I know this is a very, very stressful and painful time for a lot of people at the moment. As I said, the shop is entirely shut and we're just operating with skeleton staff here at the moment. So everything is safe, everything is above board. There's no danger here. We're all keeping a good distance away from each other. But we're still trying to fulfill your online orders and to create the content, as I say, that you're used to seeing from us. So I just want to thank everybody sincerely for checking out our videos. I hope that you're enjoying what we're doing. And as I say, if you really want to have some input, make sure that you leave a comment in the live chat or on Instagram or whatever you want to do. You can even call us up and some of the guys will answer the phones. If you've got any requests, get them in now and we'll get them into the live video this afternoon. So I hope you guys have a good couple of hours. We'll see you in a little bit. Take care. Thank you so much for watching once again. And we'll see you in a short while. All right, thanks guys.